Failure is the key to success, and each mistake teaches us something. When people succeed in tasks, we tend to feel accomplished, relieved, and a sense of pride in ourselves. We feel those types of emotions because of the amount of work we put into the task. However, I found that I have a stronger presence of those emotions when the task at hand was something that I struggled in and then ended up persevering in. The tasks that I put a lot of time, effort, and work into and failed a couple times in are such a bigger accomplishment to me. I think that's because in the end I didn't really gain much from the experience besides the fact that I got it done. In my life, I've experienced failure in sports, school, and relationships with peers. So pretty much in all aspects of my life, I've been a failure. All those struggles have shaped me into the person I am today, and that gives me hope through all the hard times, because it makes me know that one day it will shape me into a wiser human being. My name is Timberlyn, and today I'm going to talk about how my failures in the topics of sports, school, and peers have shaped me into the person I am today. I want to show that in order to be a successful human being, we have to experience failure in order to grow and to keep growing. No matter the size or the fail, or the size of the fail or triumph, it all plays essential roles in our lives when dealing with personal growth. Everyone at some point thinks that they are a failure in life, especially when they are failing at something that is supposed to be a stress reliever and a hobby. It can be very frustrating, and a lot of time people are tempted to quit or give up a hobby that they once loved. I've experienced that, a lot of frustrations with that in my past with athletics. I've been involved in sports my whole life. I started gymnastics when I was 2 and continued until I was 12. Being a gymnast taught me many important life skills at a young age and have helped me my whole life. Gymnastics taught me that if you fall down, you have to get back up until you succeed, and anything's possible if you put your mind to it. I ended up breaking my foot twice in the same spot and having to quit. It was very hard to be forced to quit something that I loved and put that much time and effort into. I felt like a failure, and I didn't want to be known as a quitter. And those were the exact opposite of the qualities that gymnastics had taught me for 10 years. However, it brought me to volleyball, and volleyball ended up becoming a forever passion of mine and aided in getting my future education paid for. Not all people can necessarily relate to struggles through athletics, but most can relate to struggles through other hobbies. However, I think everyone can relate to struggling through the aspect of school. I've always been involved in school through extracurricular activities and have had an interest in the science field, which can be pretty time consuming. Many times being involved in so many things at once can be stressful, especially when you're a perfectionist. It's hard to balance succeeding at everything I do, and school has taught me that it's okay not to be perfect at everything. That wasn't a concept that necessarily came easy to me at first, and it's been something that's taken almost all my years in school to learn. I've learned to accept myself for who I am because I can only do so much as a human being. There's always going to be somebody who's smarter, faster, and more talented than me. I've coped with that concept by realizing that there will never be someone who can work harder than me, because that's something I can control. I would have never been able to cope with that concept without failure, hard times, and stress that I've experienced throughout schools. Failing at school is an easy way to learn how to manage failure and success, and see how one responds to it based on the actions taken while failing. Because honestly, it's simple in school. People either fail or they learn how to manage, or decide a route that will lead to personal success, whatever that may be. However, when dealing with failed relationships, it's a little harder to draw a straight line and a solution to that aspect. Maybe the hardest failure I've had to deal with is a failed relationship with someone that means a lot to me. This is hard because sometimes you don't know why a family member or a dear friend walks out and leaves you. Throughout life in general, everyone is growing. I truly 100% believe that everything happens for a reason. It's hard to believe that in the moments when a friend or family member isn't by your side anymore. And it can be hard to tell myself that it's what's best for both people's lives, and to just trust God's plan for the future. Through these failed relationships is where I've learned the true value of maturity and being understanding over things that are hard to understand. Without growing out of people, or people growing out of me, I would not have met half the people who are important in my life, and I would not be growing as a person. I've learned to be thankful for failed relationships because they are not always a negative experience. They are a wonderful time to grow, build new relationships, focus on figuring yourself out, and learn how to love and respect yourself. The word failure has a negative reputation to it, but in all honesty, the best lessons I've ever learned have been because of failure. Failing is something will never feel good to me because I want to succeed at everything I do, but I hope I keep failing. If I'm not failing, I'm not learning, moving forward, trying, or growing as a person. I look at failing in something in two ways. I can be mad and negative about the situation and give up, or I can stand back up, brush it off, and move forward until I succeed. There is a big difference between failing because of laziness and failing while working hard. I can embrace being a failure at life, but that means I'm still working hard and continuing to learn and move forward.